Okay, let's do a quick sound check on this new computer. So we're on the backup computer now. Just make sure you can all hear me okay. So just doing a quick test. Hello, Catherine. Nice to see you as well. And everyone's confirming you can hear me now on the backup computer, which is fine. Okay, good. Yep. Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to stick on this one, but I'll do the recording on the other computer now. So it's actually started recording already. So welcome everybody to today's live webinar. It is now 12:37 p.m. UK time on the 30th of July 2019. Nice to see so many of you joining us. For those of you that have requested the deck for our investment opportunity in our Gibraltar company, that'll be coming out tomorrow. We are going to close that offering off this evening. So there will be one more email going out later today. If you've already registered and you've already emailed me, and I've got hundreds of emails, then don't worry, you will be contacted. So you're not missing out on anything, don't worry. The second thing is, what I want to talk about today is what's been going on in the British pound. Now, at the moment, I'm showing you the futures contract of the 6B. Now, one of the things that we talk about all the time is the importance of climactic volume and how important it is to our analysis, especially when we're talking about volume spread analysis. Now, before I do get underway, I just want to find out how many of you here are new. All right, so just type in N for new. I just want to find out how many of you, this may be your first webinar, maybe your second webinar, I don't know, but if you're new, just type in N. I just want to see how many of you here are here for the first sort of time and you're just trying to get your head around what's going on. Because I'm going to direct you to a place before we start, which has a lot of complementary information that will help you with today's session. And I'm using, just so we're clear, my Infinity 80 futures charts, and I'm also using my charts from FX Choice. I'm using MT5 for those of you that have got that. Let me just ask you a few questions before I do really get underway here, because it's quite important to me. Can you let me know, what do you currently trade? Just type in FX, futures, stocks, commodities, whatever. Just let me know, what do you currently trade and what are you following? Just want to get an idea. Okay, and I'll read this out to you. Many people saying FX. Okay, quite a few with futures and stocks. Okay, FX, loads of FX. Okay, not surprising. Okay, futures, stocks, FX, and metals. Okay, more stocks and a bit FX, says Catherine. Okay, good. Okay, the other question I'd ask before I say get into the meat on the bones here is, what country are you currently in? Because we've got hundreds of people here. I want to just find out, what country are you currently listening in from? So let's start with what's coming in. So I'll read these out. Morocco, Canada, Germany, Australia, UK, USA, South Africa, Kenya, UK, Poland, UK, Somalia, Poland, Australia again, New Zealand, China, okay, Singapore, Hong Kong, right? Okay, so I've got a good flavour. What I'm seeing at the moment is our database is being absolutely fluctuated with people from all over the world, and I believe the reason for that is the fact that the financial markets at the moment, the stock markets, are making historic highs. The British pound is making historic lows. And it's a great one to trade, by the way. If you are trading Forex and you haven't been following the signals on the British pound, the USD, GBP USD, you're missing opportunities, because it has been absolutely weak. Now, I'm showing you, let's get into the charts. But before I do, actually, let me just switch over to the other screen here. And I'm going to bring up my I'll actually put this into MT5. And I'll just show you the type of setups. Now, I'm going to be using here the 1 hour chart of the GBP USD, and just let me know when you can see the screen, please. Okay, and I'll just put the questions up. Now, you should be able to see my screen of the MT5 platform. In this instance, I'm using FX Choice. I also have accounts with markets.com and with activetrades.co.uk as well. But it doesn't make any difference. They all look pretty much the same. Okay, so can everyone see, just before I start, the British pound USD 1 hour chart, which I'm going to analyze for you and show you exactly where this is going, because I think I know exactly where it's going. Can everyone see it? Okay, and I'm using a point and figure chart on my other screen here, which I'm not going to show because there's no reason to. But a lot of you are going to have some questions. I appreciate that. So let me just put you in straight away, for those of you that are new. I'm going to go straight to a website here, and I'm going to post it up on the screen so you can see it. So your screen's going to go blank just for a minute. And the website is very simple. It's tradeguider.com/intro. Okay, so I'll put this up now. Again, I'll ask you, can you all see the website tradeguider.com/intro? Can you all see that? Before I move on, I'm just going to point you in the direction of certain pieces of information for those of you that have said that are new, and there's a lot of you who've said you're new. Okay, so everyone can see it. So for those of you that have just joined out, now it's quite extraordinary, this, and I always get a bit shocked sometimes when this happens, but our database in the last 3 weeks has had more subscriptions to it than it's had for years. Now, when that happens, there's a reason. There's not an accident. There's a reason. Now, there could be, in my opinion, the reason is that the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, the S&P have been making historic highs, and many traders and investors that have been sitting on the sidelines suddenly say it's time to get in. I don't want to miss this big move. I'll show you today why you've got to be extremely cautious right now with what you're trading. But we're going to focus on Forex because we do see a big decline in the British pound US dollar. Now, I discussed this several weeks ago in webinars. I haven't done webinars for a few weeks now because I've been very busy with our fund and with our Gibraltar company. But we have discussed the weakness in the GBP USD, and there was an indication of weakness several weeks ago, which we saw clearly, which was a massive upthrust. Now, a lot of you are going to look at the charts I'm going to show you today, and I want to refer to terminology that you may not be aware of. And there's a mechanism that you can learn quickly, this terminology, because chart reading is a language. It's very straightforward. It's a language. You're learning to read a language. And whether you're in China right now, whether you're in Singapore, Hong Kong, whether you're in Australia, Malaysia, you know, every country around the world, we all have our different dialects and languages. Well, the chart is in fact a language. And I learned that many, many years ago from the late Tom Williams, who I'm going to talk about very shortly. Now, there's a couple of places I want to direct you to. The first one is tradeguider.com/intro, because here we have information that you can get for free. There's no charge for it. And I'm going to put that into the chat area now. Okay, so you should see that. And there's just a couple of places you need to go here. There's a lot of information, of course, but one of the things that I often get asked is, can I make money using this system? And of course, everyone's individual. I'm not going to treat every one of you in this room, and there's a lot of you, and say, I can guarantee that if you buy our software and you take our courses, that you're going to make money, because I can't guarantee that, because it's down to you as an individual. And I'll give you an example of that. I'm at the moment taking up golf, and I did try to take that up years ago, and I'm rubbish at it. I'm not very good, and I've got an instructor, and I said to him, look, I want to get to scratch, and I really want to do that within a couple of months. And he burst out laughing. Of course he did, because I was just joking. And he said, Gavin, some golfers never get to scratch. They never get there. He said, I've got other students that come in and they get to scratch within 6 to 8 months because they play every day. And it got me thinking about this business we're in. And I thought to myself, do you know something? I talk to hundreds of traders around the world every week. And I talk to these individuals, and some of them have really logical expectations of what they can get from these markets. And others have got none at all. They've got no idea. They think they're going to make it in a week, and that they're going to just pick up a piece of software and press a button and crack it. If it was that easy, everyone would make money. But that doesn't, the markets can't work that way, as I'm about to show you. But what is very, very important is you know that there are some individuals that do make it in the markets. Now, interestingly enough, I've been working on my Detective Holmes Follows the Smart Money TV program, which you can click on here to view it. And it's interesting, their disclaimer comes up. And when the disclaimer comes up, it says, quite frankly, 79 or 80% of traders trading CFDs with this company lose money. So my question is, what are the 20% doing that consistently make money? That's the question to ask. It's not, if 80% are losing, I don't want to focus on them, and I don't think you want to focus on them either. You want to focus on the percentage of people that are making money. So I'm going to just show you a quick article. I'm going to read two of these before we start on the actual chart analysis. And these you can read for yourself. And I please do go and read them. They're on this page, tradeguider.com intro. The first one is about Earl Ehrenler, who was a customer of ours, still is a customer, but he traded back in 2009, 2010, and he came second in the futures trading World Cup Trading Championship. And he said, in his studies of the markets, Ehrenler came across the book Master the Markets by Tom Williams. He began using the methods from this book in June of 2007. That's, in fact, when he started to study VSA. And he credits his reliance on this approach, which includes Wyckoff theory, as one of the reasons he began to see consistent profitability in his trading. Now, what do we all want in our trading? That is what we want. And I'm sure you'd agree with that statement. You want to be consistently profitable. We don't want to be taking money out of the market one week and giving it back the following week. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so what we want to do is get ourselves consistent with a strategy. So I've developed 4 strategies, and these strategies are purely based on volume spread analysis and the Wyckoff method. Now, you can probably hear I've got alerts going off in the background here. Now, these alerts are based on a strategy which I call TopBot, which identifies the tops and the bottoms of markets as they're getting to what we call climactic areas. And we'll talk about this today. So as we move forward on these articles, and you can go and download these for yourself, so you don't need me to don't worry about the fact that I've put them up on the screen here. You can read them. But this was Tim Raymond. He won the Forex World Cup Trading Championship twice, the last time with a 44% gain. But the key statement I want to read to you before we get underway here is the early mentor. It says, in 1998, Raymond had the good fortune, as I did, to connect with Tom Williams, the creator of volume spread analysis. I rang him, and he was very reluctant to sell me his software. He said, trading is very difficult, you know. I insisted and agreed that I would pay £5,000 in instalments, Raymond says. And we're talking about 1998, by the way. These days, if I'm asked by someone who is starting out in trading for advice, the first place I send them is the Trade Guider website. For me, it demystified the markets to a great extent, Raymond says. The article is incredibly knowledgeable and interesting. I strongly suggest you have a look at it. But most importantly, it talks about the Wyckoff method in all of these articles. Now, there's another thing that's here for you to go and view after we finish here, right? This link here takes you straight through to the TV show I've just completed with markets.com. And if you click on it, you'll get a copy of the show, obviously, and the articles. But most importantly, this is what you want to look at. And I wrote 2 books, and I'm in the process of writing a 3rd book at the moment. But the first 2 books are very much about trading and investing and learning to recognize how smart money operate. Now, I'm going to just take you to a quick website here, and we'll just go over here, and you just type into your browser www.volumespreadanalysis.com, which is one of our sites. And what I'd like to do is introduce you, for those of you that are new, and there are hundreds of you here that are new, to the man that taught me to trade and invest and to figure out how the markets truly work. And his name, he's passed away now, it's Tom George Williams. And I was with him as he passed. And he gave us, and I say us as a family, because in effect that's what we are here at Trade Guider and VSA. We're a family of people that help each other to understand the markets. Now, I'll play the video very shortly to you if you haven't already seen it, but I want to talk about what happened here because it's happening again in another instrument. Now, and it's not just one, there's several stocks where this is happening. Now, this is an absolute factual story of what happened when I was out in Boston. I was at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology doing a seminar there. And Tom had rung me the day after they said they cannot cap the well. So BP, this is British Petroleum monthly stock, BP. We can't cap the well. Okay. And the stock plummeted as that happened. But then on our daily and 4-hour charts, we had a VSA signal, which is what we call a top bot signal, called bag holding. And as it happened at a 10-year previous low. It happened almost at the same level where it happened a year before. So there are no accidents in the financial markets if you can read the chart. Now, if we notice here, the volume on the bar on the monthly chart was absolutely enormous. We call that a shakeout. A shakeout. And what it does is everyone, as Wyckoff would call it, pukes out the stock. They get rid of it. They go, I'm done, I'm finished. They don't notice that in the background there was buying at that level. And so they ignore the background. They only look at what they're seeing on the media, the news, and what's causing them to feel fear, which is what the markets rely on. The markets must create fear. Brexit must create fear. All the news that's pumped out at us creates the fear. But what we miss as human beings and traders and investors is on that fear is probably our best opportunity to buy an instrument. So let's have a listen to Tom as he talks about what he taught me, which I'm going to talk about today in this seminar, which is the most important lesson that I've learned in my life, actually, which is there is no such thing as fear. It's just that it's created to create an opportunity for big professional money to buy an instrument. And at the opposite end, what I call it euphoria. When the market's going up, you're long, you're making money, and suddenly it jumps up on high volume and you go, oh, I'm making money. And then the next 2 days, it just collapses in price. And suddenly you're in a loss situation. It's all very logical, as you'll now hear from Tom.
Well, the thing is, you see, if you're a professional trader, you've got to do your utmost to buy on low, depressed prices. And the best way to do that is to create bad news, put out rumours, do whatever you can, seize the opportunity of some serious news coming in, and then the market's markdown hopefully shakes people out of that. There was one example that we used to get up to all sorts of so-called tricks. I mean, we used to trade Teledyne. And Teledyne, the actual company used to have an annual general meeting in Beverly Hills, and we used to plant people in there. In the meeting, there'd be quite a large room with perhaps several hundred people in there, and all the directors would be sitting up on the stage, you know, behind the table looking out at you. But we'd have planted questions to rather encourage people either to buy or encourage people to sell. We'd be asking awkward questions like we might stand up and say, is this correct? We've heard secretly that you've got a huge order from Saudi Arabia for your products. And of course, there was complete fabrication. Then the directors would look at each other and sort of shrug their shoulders. But the audience heard that, and they think, aye, they've got something going on, they're keeping it secret. And that would definitely have a nice big surge of buying next day. If you were distributing, we'd say, sure, we'll let you have it all, because we've bought in the lows. We're now encouraging people to come in and buy it off us. That goes on all the time, that type of thing. If the opportunity is there, a professional trader will take it.
So if we look at what Dom just said there, it is correct. Now, we've launched a new website fairly recently, which gives you access to the strategies that we use ourselves. And the website is www.tradeguiderprofessional.com. And it's aimed at professionals. It's aimed at, and Tina, thank you very much indeed, by the way, for your comment there. If you can help me with my golf, I will certainly be in touch. But I'm still, listen, I'm a believer in that practice makes perfect, and it does in trading. I've found that. And one of the things that we've done is, when I started to play golf, one of the things I learned very early on is there is a specific way of striking a ball. Now, not everyone has the specific way. Everyone has different ways. I mean, if you look at Fuzzy Zeller, was a very famous golfer, right? Now, his way of striking a golf ball, you'd look at it and say, well, there's no way in the world he should be a professional golfer, but he made it work for him. And with trading and investing, I believe that's a similar way. You can take the framework that we give you, but the most important part of what we teach you is you have to adapt it to your personality. Because I just came back from a very big show in London, the London Financial Forum, of which I spoke. And during that forum, I met a lot of traders and investors, and many of them have kept in touch, and thank you if you have. And during that show, I realized how amazingly individual we are when it comes to making trading and investing decisions. You can't treat everyone with the same brush. You can't say, well, person A and person B and person C, they're all the same. They might live in different counties in England. They might live in different countries, but they're going to be exactly the same when it comes to trading and investing. Absolutely not. You are not. And that's the wonderful thing about this whole thing about trading and investing is what we're giving you is what we call decision support material. It's not telling you where to buy and sell exactly, because there's always going to be risk and reward associated with any trade that you take. But what I can tell you for certain, and what I can see from our offering into our new Gibraltar company, from the hundreds and hundreds of people that have responded, we've got people who've had our software for 35 years. Now, that's exactly, in fact, when this whole VSA message started. So what I want to direct you to is this part here, the strategies. And I'm going to show you one today, just the one. There are videos on the strategies, but you can now download these documents, okay? Now, they're available from here. When you click on that, it's Sharpshooter, Super Scalper, Prism, which is for stocks. But today, I'm going to show you TopBot, because that's the one that's been working beautifully in the British Pound USD and the Euro. Now, what this strategy does, okay, and you can click here to download it. So if I click on that button, you can do this. We don't require an email from you. We don't require your email address. We don't require any personal information. You can just download this document. But this strategy actually is very close to my heart, and because the individual that introduced me to what we call TopBot is a guy called Nick Cowan, who is the managing director of Gibraltar Stock Exchange. Now, you can read the whole document for yourself. I mean, it's all here. But the idea behind it is very straightforward. And I just do want to read that disclaimer as we're going to go to some live charts in a minute. So trading stocks, options on stocks, futures, options on futures, retail, off-exchange, foreign currency transactions, forex, and cryptocurrencies, because that's what we're going to be doing in our fund, involves substantial risk of loss. It's not suitable for all investors. Past performance, whether actual or indicated by historical tests of strategies, is no guarantee of future performance or success. There is a possibility that you may sustain a loss equal to or greater than your entire investment, regardless of which asset class you trade, equities, options, futures or forex. Therefore, you should not invest or risk money that you cannot afford to lose. And that's a very key part of trading. Now, as I move down the strategy, you'll read the background. I'm not going to read it now because we want to get to the charts. Of course we do. But please go and download the document. Read the logic behind it. Understand why we're looking for these climactic volume bars. And then let's go straight to the charts. Okay, so you can download that. Very straightforward. I'll just put it up into the room here. This is the top bot strategy that I use for, it's not in trend trading, John. No, this is counter trend trading. Okay, let me be very clear on that. So this is actually you're trying to find and will find turning points in the market. And that explains it all. I'm not going to explain it all in this seminar. I don't have time, but that will explain it to you. So here we are. Now we've just had, this is the hourly chart of the GBP USD. Now there's a number of things. And by the way, can you all see the screen? Let me just make sure, because I've just had an alert here on the New Zealand dollar as well. But can you all see my screen, first of all? Let's just make sure you can see the screen before we start. Let's right, okay, so everyone's typing in yes, good. Okay, so there's a number of things that catches your attention immediately on this chart. And the first one is one of the most important to me. It's called the trend. Now, I know it's a cliche, but I'm still going to say it. The trend is your friend. Now, if we look at what happened from here to here and to here, the software, which is designed to measure trend, as well as measuring unusual volume, which we saw here, we can see the big volume here on these bars, and then over here, this is where the catalyst for the down move, this is the support level, that is a secondary support level, and it got taken out and massively trapped here. This is a trap up move. It's one of the strongest signals in the VSA system, but it's much more valid when it takes out previous support levels, which we've got here and here. Now, I've got these little squares on my screen in MT5, and they're very valuable because you can see where support is and where it's trying to hold. And when support is broken like this, your opportunity, if you see a clear VSA principle like this, if it aligns with the trend, which it clearly must do, because you can see, if anything's in hindsight, in VSA and Wyckoff, it must have been there in foresight. And it was. None of these things disappear, right? They're there. The problem is that most human beings miss the fact that they miss these levels, right? I call these areas trigger numbers. Now, if you don't understand that, read the book, read Trading in the Shadow of the Smart Money, or go and look at Detective Holmes Follows the Smart Money videos. But what we are teaching you, what we want you to understand, is to be patient, and that's the key, for when these moves happen. Because when they do happen, and no one's going to argue with me that the British pound USD, I'd be very shocked, anyone's going to say this is a weak instrument at the moment, because it has been. And it's been like that for 3 weeks. And there's been a lot of money to be made as the market's fallen. So let's talk through the system. Now, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up my scanner. And if I put this up, and let's just put up all scanners, put the lot up. Okay, let me go back to my other screen. Bear with me, because I haven't set the in. Yes, I know what I've done here. Don't worry about that for the moment. I'm going to show you it on the other screen. So we're going to just put this up on the FX, on the futures account, and I'll show you. And again, tell me when you can see it, because my internet on that machine is intermittent. Right, here we go. Right, you should be able to see my futures chart, and what we're going to do is we're going to put up the scanners. Now, once I do this, what you're going to see, first of all, Smart Center Pro. Now, I'm using, can you all see that, by the way? Sorry, I just want to check you can all see it before I carry on. Can everyone see my screen? And you should be able to see an alert that's just come in. Okay, right. Everyone can see it. Good. So I'm using TopBot in Smart Center Pro here, which is looking for counter trend signals. Now, that for those of you that have followed my work, you'll know that I'm a trend trader. I most definitely am. But there are moments in time during a week and a month and even on a yearly chart, occasionally you get this, where professional money step in and absorb, meaning they buy, or they short, they sell, and those indicators are always on ultra high volume. Okay, so let me just put up the scanners here for you. And this is my futures charts using Infinity AT charts. And I'm just going to show all the scanners. Okay, now, what you've just seen there is me. I'm just using, at this point, I'm using Smart Center Pro, but I'm using the scanners which are available in the base charting software that we sell. So when I start my trading day, right, and I'm looking at gold at the moment, and I've got a potential trade happening right now. So, and there's the alert. So just bear with me. I am going to have to go and take this. This is on the GBP USD, so bear with me. And I was waiting for that to happen. Okay, so when you hear that bell in the background, that is our technology, for those of you that are new, alerting us to a potential trade setup. Now, GBP and the Euro have just come up with the same setup, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so let's go back quickly to explain to you the scanners. So we're starting off with gold. You can see here at the moment we've got what we call a mixed message. Now, in this instance, this is not TopBot that we're using here on these scanners. It's looking purely for trend alignment, and you can see the weekly and the daily and the 4-hour and the 60-minute and even the 15-minute are aligning to the upside. And we're starting to look here for potential longs on gold when these align, because we're almost in trend alignment. So what I'm going to do, we just close that one down. Same on the Japanese yen. Okay, we've got trend alignment on all the small time frames. And over here, on the 6J, we've got a selling climax. Now, that happened last night, and then it began to move. So, okay, I've got some alerts just come in. Just bear with me. I just need to check these. Okay, it's Japanese yen. Okay, so not surprising. So the 6J is very much a potential to the long side at the moment. As we click through the scanners, we can just close them down. You can see if you've not got trend alignment in all the time frames, if you want to scalp, and the smaller time frames all align in one direction, you can still take a trade. You don't have to rely on the daily, the weekly, or the 4-hourly. And I want to make that clear, because a lot of people have asked me that. They said, well, Gavin, are you waiting for every single trend alignment on even the big time frame to align? When that happens, the probability of making money is greatly increased. Of course it is, but it doesn't mean that the market isn't going to move. And if we go through these, I'll just close these down. You can see here, on the Dow Jones, trap up move. All right, and it's starting to move negatively. You can see here, we've got an up thrust on the 1 minute. We've now got supply coming in on the Dow. All right, so that's what I'm going to go and look at. And then here on the Swissy, everything's aligning to the long side. You've got signs of weakness here, so we've got to be aware of those, but it's being marked up. Now, it's very easy. I'm just going to close these quickly. Okay, it's very easy to look at those scanners quickly, and you can add all of the futures contracts in. I mean, I'm only, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm only using a few of these, but you can use all of the futures contracts on the CME group, and actually the scanners will work up to 25 specific instruments, so 25 of them. Now, looking at the British pound, as I've just done, we've seen a very clear setup. So let me just go back to the, okay, so let me just go back to the chart, and we'll go to the 1 minute chart. And we've seen a very clear setup here. Let me just put this up for you. I'll probably put it up on the 5 minute chart here of the British pound. All right, so again, can everyone see? You should all be able to see the 5 minute chart of the GBP USD. This is the 6B futures contract. Can you all see that? Let's just make sure you can all see it. Jeff, is TopBot provided in Smart Center software? Yes, it is. Yes. Any smart technology that we sell, and again, if you've got questions on that, you can always email myself or Laura. But yes, it's actually included in our technology. Now, let me just go over straight away here to the chart. I'm just trying to put the screen up so you can see it. We're going to the 1 minute chart here. Okay, tell me when you can see my screen. Okay, so we've got a trade here, and I just want to show you a feature of the software that many of you aren't aware of, but I find very valuable. And we're currently short the British pound here. Now, the reason for it is what happened over here. Now, if you look at, I want you to focus on the bar information window here. This is my FX Choice Live account. Okay, I'm using a 1 minute chart for this. Okay, I'm shortly going to bring the stop down to a break-even position, but at the moment I'm short because of what's happened over here. Now, the key to this is understanding the principles, and this is really what I want to teach you here today, because they work in all time frames. And I did have an email from a gentleman who's in the room, and welcome to you. I won't mention your name, and you're using a 10-tick chart with VSA, and you're very successful with it, and congratulations. But you're using the trend clusters. Now, we don't really talk about the trend clusters as much as we should, but they're here, they're present on this chart. Okay, so you can see very clearly above me here where this weakness appeared, okay, and why the market's now falling, is you've got these areas of what we call resistance, and they appeared right on that. Now, if we look here on this bar, you've got one of our strongest indicators as the market fell for the last 15 minutes, which is the alert that you heard earlier on. Okay, now if that happens on a 60-minute chart, or it happens on a daily chart or a weekly chart, the move is going to be much bigger. Now, at the moment, it's come down quite significantly, but it is whipsawing. But ultimately, we cannot ignore that's happened on a 1 minute chart about 15 minutes ago now, and the alert that you heard on my phone is coming from our TopBot software. All right. Now, sign of weakness 71 is described very, very clearly in the dialog boxes itself. Now, it's also coming in, interestingly enough, on the euro. So we've got the movement. It came down here. It's only a 1 minute time frame. I prefer to trade that signal on the 15 minute, the 30 minute, the 30 minute being the most important one, because what you often get, and you can hear the alerts coming in now, not surprisingly, because we've got news coming out. But if we now go to Bitcoin, right, which I know a lot of you have asked me about, I'm going to show you the hourly chart of Bitcoin, right? And let me just get rid of this for a second, because we know that with VSA, we can chart cryptocurrency. Absolutely 100% we can chart it. And it works particularly well in the crypto markets. And as we go forward with our company and we're moving into our new company in Gibraltar, we're going to be focusing in a lot more on VSA for cryptos, because we believe as a company that's where the market is definitely going. But let's go and have a look at the bigger time frames and look at some of the indications. Let me just have a look at these indicators that are coming in right now. Okay, so we've got, okay, so let's go and start with the daily chart of Bitcoin. Okay, now what you're going to notice here is that and we're using just MT5 here, but we've got something a little bit more specialist that we use and we look at for the fun. But here, we're just simply looking at MT5. Now, what we notice over here is the increase in volume as coin, this is Bitcoin, on the daily chart shot up, okay, on very, very high volume. Now, Tom always taught me, he said, Gavin, markets do not like, now, this is his words, markets do not like ultra high volume on up bars. Now, when he says it doesn't like it, I said, what do you mean markets don't like it? Because I didn't really understand it. He said, well, what happens is these very high volume, and this is the highest volume that we'd seen for several weeks as it moved higher, gave us a sign of weakness. It didn't give us a sign of strength. It said the market here is actually weak. Now, it's very fascinating to me that the very next day we had the collapse, right? A reversal. But then you got the confirmation over here. There's no demand, right? All of this makes sense. But the market still drifted up and then it's collapsed. And if you go down a time frame or two, after you see, and this is the key to trading, certainly coin and Ethereum as well, and other coins, when you see the markups, this is absolutely, in my opinion, market manipulation going on. Then the software triggers indicators and you can't ignore them. That is supply entering the market at that area where everyone thought coin is going to go to 21, 22,000 and it's not ready yet. Now, will it be ready in the future? Well, when we see a mark down into this area, into 6,000, and we get a bag holding type signal, then it is ready. We did see that at 3,000. So just to be very clear for those of you that have emailed me, VSA works in cryptocurrencies incredibly well. And the reason it does is because the markets there are very manipulated. And of course, what the exchanges want, like the Kraken exchange and others, they want to create volume. And so they leave a footprint. It's like the gorilla in the room. And they leave that footprint. And all you've got to do is read it and trust that you're seeing correct volume footprints. Because here on these bars, we saw clear distribution at that level. The market isn't ready. Now, here's something I will tell you. I've got a trigger number on the top of that bar right now, just so you know. And this is something I will be trading because I'm going to be trading Bitcoin. Now, at the top of that bar, that price bar, if it breaks it in the next 6 weeks, and the word is if, because I don't know if it's going to, no one can say definitely it's going to happen. But if it does, and it gets tested, then we will see Bitcoin at 21 to 22,000 this year. And suddenly the whole crypto world will, of course, will take off again. Now, I know the next question is going to be about gold, and I will come to it. But before I do, I'm going to talk about the Australian dollar versus the US dollar. Because, again, we've got a lot of people in Australia, and we've had a lot of questions about this particular instrument. So I'm going to start off with the weekly chart, and I'm going to ask all of you, can you tell me what trend you think this is in, the AUD-USD? What trend do you think we're currently in? Let's type it in. I just want to get some observations. This is the weekly chart, Steve. Yep. So what trend are we in on the weekly chart? But please do type in. I want to make sure you all agree with me because there's something that's about to happen here. Okay, and it's a very good trade setup. Yeah, okay. All right, so the majority of you have said the weekly chart is in a downtrend, but I want you to notice this price bar right here, and I'll highlight it for you. Okay. That bar there. Now, I will almost guarantee this, but I don't guarantee anything, but I will almost guarantee that we're going to come down to this level here and retest the bottom of that bar, because that's an attempt to spring the market, and it will need to be tested because the volume is very, very high, as we can see, but the market's now rejecting areas of that level. If you look at where the market was marked down and you look at where they try to support it, it's been rejected. That's a very good setup. Why is that a good setup? Well, simply because when you see this type of bar, which happened last week, what we've got here is a clear rejection of price. So what do we want to do now? What we want to do is go down time frames. So if I go down to a daily chart, right, I can see I'm at an old low. I'm coming down. I'm heading into this direction. And I hate the word guarantee because there's no guarantees in trading, but my observations and my point and figure charts tell me that we're going to come back down to this level. Okay, and just for the recording, you can see exactly where it's at. Now, if we look at that level, right, and it's at 0.68525, where the support line is. If it retests that and breaks it, it's going to go down to 0.68000. And the reason is markets like to go to round numbers. We don't know why, and we don't need to explain why. But so how am I trading this? Very simple. We look at the 4-hour chart. Okay, and what do we have on the 4-hour chart? We have weakness in the background. Look at the volume here on this bar. All right, look at it. Now, if you don't believe volume spikes in a downtrend are vitally important to your analysis, then this chart should teach you above all others. Because you're seeing there a very important principle that Tom loved, it's a sign of weakness 26, but look at the spread, very narrow compared to these other widespread down bars. It's in a downtrend, it's in the right place. We know on the weekly chart it's going down, we know on the daily chart it's going down. This is a 4-hour chart. Now, one of the best time frames that we're developing at the moment, we're working on, which we'll share with those of you that are following us, is the 30-minute time frame, and I'll show you that in a minute. But this is the hourly chart, and it shows this massive spike, closes in the middle, next bar collapses, and then you get a failed test. Now, that means this market's weak. But if you go to the 30-minute chart, watch what happens. Right? Look at these indications of weakness on the 30-minute time frame. Okay, they're all there. These are what we call a sequence. So if you don't want to scout the market, you want to swing trade the market, then you absolutely have to look at the 30-minute time frame as your guide. And in fact, Philip Friston and I were discussing this the other day about stocks. And for our intraday stock scanner that we're developing, 30-minute time frame is going to be absolutely vital to our analysis. Right, let me look at the questions that have come in. So just bear with me. Right. I'm just scrolling down now. So, right, it looks like Grigory's in with us as well. So, Grigory, if you've got a microphone, can you just let me know? I just want to bring you in for a couple of questions on the trend clusters, because I know we've got quite a lot of them. So, yeah, Grigory, just let me know if you've got a microphone, and I'll make you an organizer. So basically, let's just recap a second on where we're at here. So what we've got is a situation where you've got weakness in the background, right? Now that's important. The background is very, very important. In fact, let's go to, okay, I'll go there now, to the Euro USD. I know some of you have already asked about it, okay? Yeah, I'm going to answer that question right now for you. So the Euro USD, okay, we had 4 weeks ago, which we talked about. I mean, it's been in the webinar, so you can go and see it. One of what I believe to be one of the strongest indicators after end of a rising market is sign of weakness 121. Now, this is a very, very strong, what I call a top bot indicator, but it's a very strong indicator in its own right. And what happens is, Okay. So Gregory says, I've got a microphone, but he's got a brand new computer that we got for him, and we don't know if it's going to work, so we'll try. So let me bring Gregory in, because we'll talk about this actually. This signal here, the weakness on this bar, is based on the previous bar and the level of the previous bar in this area, because that is an upthrust. Now, when you see this on a weekly chart, you have to start your trading day, in my opinion. Each week, when I start my trading on a Monday morning, I go to the weekly charts first to see what's in control. I think that's very important. So I've got with me today Gregory Margolin. Let me just bring him in. So bear with me. Now, those of you that are new and you don't know who Gregory is actually our Chief Technology Officer. And he has developed all the stuff that you're seeing on your screens. And let me just make Gregory an organizer. So Gregory, let's do a sound check, see if we can actually hear you.
Can you hear me again?
Oh, tell you what, that's quality. That must be a really good computer. It's very good. Yeah, it's really clear. Can everyone hear Gregory?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for inviting me here.
No worries. I didn't know you were even in. I was just looking at the attendee list, and I didn't see you were there. Otherwise, I'd have brought you in earlier. So, Gregory, let's obviously can everyone hear Gregory first of all? Gregory, just do a quick sound check for everyone.
1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Right, let's just have a quick look. I think yes is the answer. Yep. The best he has ever sounded. I quote. That you do sound a lot better. That's a really good microphone on that computer. Gregory, let's talk about a couple of things first of all. We've talked a little bit in Detective Holmes Follows the Smart Money when you were interviewed with me about the trend clusters. And today I've been using them. We've seen a big decline in the GBP USD. We've seen the reason for it. But I'm looking at the euro at the moment. I'm also thinking that we might end up the end of this week. Now, I'm not saying we will. I'm just saying it might end up with no demand. But we've got these signals here, and they're very powerful, especially on big time frames. So you obviously met with Tom Williams many times. We've talked about this indicator many times. In fact, you can see it again over here on the weekly. But I like to use these indicators on smaller time frames. How important, in your opinion, is it to trade these indicators in trend rather than trying to pick tops? Well, in the case of an upthrust, you do get them at market tops. Why do you believe it is very important for people to look for these in trend rather than trying to take them in an uptrend? Because you do see upthrusts, like I'm showing you here, in an uptrending market, and sometimes the market does fall. But my opinion has always been that we trade in trend. Why do you believe in trend trading is very, very important to anyone, especially who's new? And there's a lot of new people here.
First of all, in trend trading is much easier mentally than counter trend trading. Because, as you said before, the trend is your friend, and even there are some corrections to the trend. If you are in the position, it may support your move if you are in the trend. At the same time, when you're trading in trend, the stops are always bigger and the profit is always smaller than if you're trading in a counter trend mode. So it pretty much depends on how well you know the trading. Of course, if you are learning how to trade, trend trading is the must. From my personal point of view, I think you must trade in trend. But if you understand markets, what they are doing, and you would like to increase your profit and decrease your risk in some way, then most probably you may switch to the counter trend trading model. As I've said, trend trading will provide you the bigger stops, so the size of the stop losses will be bigger. The profit will be less than in counter trend mode, but the probability of the success is much bigger. Back to you again.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I think that I mean, let's what we're going to do right now. I'm just looking for alerts that are coming in because it's now 1:30 p.m. UK time. Now, what I'm looking for here on this Euro chart is weakness to start to appear. So I'm going to go straight down to the 1 minute chart. It's a very small time frame. All right, and we're going to just look to see, and I'm going to be looking at this also on the 5 minute chart on the futures contract as well. And we're going to start to analyze this chart bar by bar. Okay, so we're going to do bar by bar analysis. We're going to look at it as it unfolds. Now we can see that the market has changed trend in the short term time frame where we've got some weakness on this bar. It's caused the market to come down. What we've now got to look for, right, is confirmation of the weakness. And what we're going to look for is a no demand bar or an up thrust. And if I see that on this is spot forex I'm trading at the moment, I will trade this in the futures market as well. So I'm going to put up the other screen here. Let me just see if there's any questions. So let's look at the questions here. Gregory is a superstar. There you go, Gregory, you're a superstar. And Chris has just said quite correctly, yes, the up thrust has appeared on the 30-minute AUD USD. Okay, so that's one I'm going to watch as well. So let me just go to my future screen here. So we're going to be looking at two lots of instruments here. So the 6A 30. Now, Gregory, just let me know if you see anything that looks like weakness to you. Now, I actually have got an alert coming in now on the 6A. So do you see anything at all that from your setup? I mean, at the moment, we've clearly got the Euro USD falling based on this principle here. Quite obvious.
To be honest, I didn't check anything today, Kevin. I'm working on something different. I've just revised the markets for the lounge around afternoon, and I didn't look to anything else. I've been trading in the morning, and since afternoon, I'm just doing some other stuff. So I'll switch right now my alerts, and so I will check if there is something.
Okay, so we've basically got the alert came in on the euro. Now, just explain it. We haven't seen any no demand yet, but what we have had is the sign of weakness into the previous area of the weakness. Now, if you were to draw a line, this is a 1 minute chart, Steve. So I just got your email. So there it is. Okay. Okay, so there is the initial high volume selling. Okay, we will get another short here for certain. And we're just going to go to the... Right, this is the alert. I did say the euro had come in as two shorts, and this is where the alerts had come in. Now, Grigory, we've got these wonderful things, these little dots here we call trend clusters. And I find them quite extraordinary, and even on small time frames. Can you explain, because there's a lot of new people here, what do these clusters represent? Why have we suddenly got two signs of strength and the market's popping up right on the cluster? What do they represent?
Trend clusters are representing the points of the support and resistance. They are not lines. They are not big areas. That's exact price levels. Which are telling that at that point of time, at that level, the price might be stopped or reversed or chopped for some time and then continue the move. They are built based on the interaction of the trend lines. They are based on interconnection or crossing of the trend lines. And due to that, the power of those lines, of those points of support resistance, is quite big. We are dividing these to several levels, and we are representing those different levels by the color. Strongest one is the purple. You can see that in the bottom.
Just it.
Next level is less strong, but still very strong, is the orange one. And by the way, the size and colors might be changed. Orange one is the very strong, and the gray one by default is natural. So the price in most of the cases is just chopping around that level, resting, and then continues its move down or up, depending on the previous direction. These clusters are valid on the place where they are drawn. They are not valid in the future. They are not valid in the past. Only at the time and at the place where they are drawn on the chart.
And we can see
shortly. That's all about trend clusters, Gavin.
Yeah, we can see that in action right now, actually. So let me just clarify here. So what we've got with these trend clusters is multiple thousands of trend lines interacting with the chart at the time frame you're monitoring them in. And you can see down here we've got this purple cluster, and it appeared just down here when these two signs of strength appeared. Now, we know that the climactic bars do happen, and you can see the price reaction to them. And now you've got two trend clusters. So the buying happened at exactly where the clusters have said the buying and the support level should appear. And then over here, the weakness happened, and we had some clusters above. They've gone now. And this is how it works. And the markets have to move in these directions because they find support and resistance levels at different places. But this is just a 1 minute chart that we're looking at. All right. Now, I want to go back to the AUD USD, the Aussie dollar, because we have had here on, this is the 30-minute chart, we've got some weakness appearing, but it's doing much the same as I'd expect all the other instruments are doing at the moment, which is whipsawing. Okay. Now, that's common at this time of day because we're not towards the London fix. So what happens is the market will fluctuate before it makes its directional move. Let me just take a few questions here. See if there's a couple coming on email here as well. Right. So let me answer. There's a few questions have come in. Gavin, you said end of a rising market is one of the most strongest signals. Is it stronger on the smaller time frames or the bigger time frames? It's very simple then, Greg. The bigger the time frame, the bigger the likely move. So what you want to be searching for is the bigger time frames. You want to be finding those signals, and TopBot does it on the hourly chart, the 4-hour chart, the daily, the weekly, the monthly, because you get more. You do look. It's very difficult because one of the things that I did with my PowerPoint presentation at the London Financial Show that I did with Active Trades is I showed a 1 minute chart of bag holding, which is a very strong signal. And the market moved 300 pips within half an hour, and Philip Friston sent me the chart. So you can't put a rule behind it. You can't say, well, it's appeared on a 1 minute chart, it's only going to move X amount. You don't know. What you know is that signal is very significant, and it's a very important indicator. John, I've got your email. Can I give you more details about the new Gibraltar company? Well, the only details I can give you right now is this. We do have a new company that has been formed in Gibraltar. It's Trade Guide Gibraltar Limited. We are doing crowdfunding for that company. We have gone out to the database with an email for those of you that are interested in an investment opportunity. It's a 5-year investment, but we expect returns, I hope, to be quicker. But ultimately, it's a 5-year investment opportunity. And we're oversubscribed already. We've got hundreds of emails that I'm going through right now. But if you haven't got the email from us yet, or it's gone into your spam folder, whatever, if you are interested in that, you can just email me directly at gavinh@tradeguider.com and put in the email title deck, because it's an investment deck that you'll get sent, which is basically our investment proposal for Trade Guide Gibraltar Limited, which will then take over all of the intellectual property, all the work we're doing on VSA and Wyckoff for the future will be run by that company. Okay, so if you've got questions on it, you will get the deck. If you've already requested it, trust me, you've already gone onto the database, you're fine. You're listed. And we're prioritizing friends and family first, then software and VIP customers and Smart Center Pro owners, and then we're going to go out to all our other customers. So it is on a first come, first served basis, basically. But you will get the deck tomorrow. Okay. So if you don't email me again. Some of you said, "Well, what's happened?" We've got your email. We just haven't sent the deck out yet. We're going to be doing that shortly. Okay. Right.
Gavin, can you please look into the CAD JPY? First 15 minutes chart, because there might be setup coming.
Okay.
CAD JPY 15 minutes chart. I want to see what you have on your charts.
Okay, let me get rid of my. Let me just get rid of the drawings. There we go. Okay.
So first of all, we are in a downtrend. We need to consider that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are in a downtrend. Second, the bar is not yet closed. It's 3 minutes before the bar is closed, and we do have a trend cluster on top of the price, right? Can you see that?
Yeah, right here. Right.
Yeah. So if the bar will be closed like that, or even lower within the next 2 minutes, we can start searching for the short trades on the lower time frames.
Yep.
What do you think?
That makes complete sense. I mean, you can see where the weakness is. Okay, so you've got your supply. If you're to draw a line out where the trend clusters are, that makes complete sense to me, because you've got weakness where the clusters are, right?
The top of the price of the last unfinished bar is exactly on the trend cluster, on the very strong trend cluster, or yeah, just it's touching that. Yeah, exactly. That's the cluster.
Yeah.
So it might be the reverse point of the price on the lower time frames. So to go to the trade, when I'm saying that we can start searching for the entry, it means that we are jumping down to the lower time frames and looking for the entry points.
Okay, well, let's do it.
Some sign of strengths or weaknesses, in this particular case, sign of weakness.
Okay, so we'll go to the 1 minute chart. Okay, so we've got still in the 1 minute chart, it's been marked up. We do have signs of weakness, but it hasn't changed behavior yet. So
and again, we are on a very strong trend cluster right now.
Yep.
Price is now touching this cluster. So to go lower, we need to see the price behavior changing. And after that, if the price behavior will be changed, we can go and short.
Can you talk about change of behaviour, Gregory? I mean, I know I've read David Weiss's book, but you've talked about that word there. Some people who are new to this will go, "What are you talking about? Changing behaviour? What do you mean by changing behaviour?"
When I'm talking about changing behavior, I actually mean the reverse of the price to another side. If we are getting the weakness in the market, let's talk about this particular case. It's not necessarily mean that the price will immediately reverse. And the reason behind that is very simple. To reverse the price, professionals need to get rid of their existing holdings, and they need to accumulate another set of holdings to the other direction. And when I'm saying accumulate, it doesn't mean an accumulation in a way of Wyckoff terms. They just need to create a set of positions in their direction. I mean, accumulate in that particular case means that to get more short positions to be traded. So what is happening first, they are getting rid of existing buying orders, which were in the past, driving the price higher. That's the first step. Then, if they have a lot of them, they cannot do that in one moment. So they are bringing, they are selling of their longs, then they are marking price again up, and then they are selling again. So what I'm trying to tell you that if we do have a weakness in the background, it's not necessarily the price will go immediately into opposite direction. And we need to see the confirmation. And the confirmation is exactly the change of the price behavior. So after a weakness, the price has started to fall.
Like you're seeing now.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what we are seeing at the moment. Price is changing its direction. What are we looking next? We are looking for the confirmation signals. Yes, the price has started to reverse. Does it mean that we are going short at that point of time? No, we don't, because first of all, the last bar, even it's a widespread bar, last finished bar, there is no volume on that bar, right? So what are we looking for? We are looking for the down move, then the correction of the price to the upside again. But in that particular case, we need to see an absence or very low volume, which will tell us an absence of interest of the professionals to the upside. And then we will go and short the markets.
Yeah. And interestingly here, I've marked the bottom of this bar, which I call a trigger bar. So if it breaks, well, you can see the trend clusters are above us, right? It's rejected the price at the clusters. That's why they're so powerful. Even if you're scalping. And as you've been watching this, you can see it change behavior. Now, what we want to see is we want the medium-term trending system to turn negative. We want to take out the low of this bar here, right? And then bounce back up onto it with no demand, which is what we call the confirmation, which means that the selling that took place up here, which it clearly was, because it has to be selling, otherwise the price wouldn't fall, right? And you're watching it now. And this is the lesson that you'll learn. You'll understand this. You'll figure this out. That you don't want to be buying into these big breakout bars that you think are very good volume on the upside, because often they're sellers there. And they're what we call false breakouts. They don't work. And now we're watching the clusters in action, and they're the most powerful thing by far. Now, what's going to happen, and I'm not surprised, is we get a test of this area, right? And now we've got a key level here. If we go out of an up thrust or no demand, we'll break down through this level, and the market will collapse. Let me just see if there's any questions, because I've got another 10 minutes left before I want to finish the webinar. So. Mustafa, if you email me, I will send you the deck which talks about the funding of the company and how it works. So just email gavinh@tradeguider.com and just type in deck at the top, and I'll send you the details. Okay, Mustafa, no worries. Well, you will hear from us. Now, here we go. Right, it's bounced right off the clusters that Grigory just talked about. See, it hit them, rejected them. Now we come down.
But we are not selling at the moment. We need to see absence of interest of the professionals to the upside. So we are waiting for price to correct up at the moment and to show us a VSA signals like an upthrust or no demand on an up move. So we are still waiting. We are not getting in. At least I'm not getting in, Gavin. You might be trading differently, but I will be waiting for the correction up, light correction potentially, but still correction up. And if we are talking about initial target of the trade, initial doesn't mean that it will be the final where you will close the position. It will be the current low on 15 minutes chart. Current low of the market on the 15-minute chart.
No, I agree with you. I think what we're looking for here is no demand, is what we'd like to see on it. I mean, if we get no demands or up thrusts on the 1 minute, and it's already taken out this low right now, this will tank. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm not in the trade at the moment, but certainly I'd like to see a VSA principle confirming that these areas have been taken out. Sometimes you don't see them. Sometimes it just goes. But the clusters are the key, which is the lesson for today, is watching these areas of resistance and how price reacted to them. Very difficult to argue with a live chart. It's very good to show charts in hindsight and go, well, see, that looked good, didn't it? This is live. This is live. This is how it works. And it's a 1 minute chart. So we're doing it on a 1 minute time frame. But you imagine if you're doing this on and there's the clusters. They're right on my line, look. See where my green line was drawn? Look at where the clusters have appeared. Right on it. And don't be at all surprised to see an upthrust or no demand here. And I don't trade the CAD yen. It's not one of my favourite cross pairs, but it's a good example of the principles. So, right, I've got a lot of questions about the Gibraltar company. I'm going to keep them separate because we're going to send you an email separately for that. So I will email you. If you don't know what that's all about, then you can just email me, gavinh@tradeguider.com, and just put in the word deck, D-E-C-K, and we'll send you what we call the investment deck, which lays everything out and how we're doing this. Okay, I'm just looking at, I've got about another 6 minutes left. We'll just see if we get a confirmation, it'd be nice to get an upthrust here and see if that actually, at the moment it's holding the support line. You see the support here, popped up, support, popped up, and then it's back down into that area. So it's still got a support line there, and we haven't had a VSA principle yet, but what we have got is the clusters that are sort of holding lines. So we'll follow it through. Gregory, any final words from you and any words of advice for people that have, obviously we've got quite a lot of new people that will be listening to this. You've obviously been trading for a long time, and originally you're from St. Petersburg, and then obviously I met you in Moscow. Gregory was a customer. And then on Thursday, we are doing a presentation on our Gibraltar company. If you're available, we'll send you the email with the link to it. So expect that tomorrow. Gregory, any final words from you?
Well, an example here. If we are looking for the example here, you can see that the price was falling, and quite a lot of retail traders will jump into the trade when the price is moving down. Don't do that. Always wait for the confirmation. Always. If you will not look or wait for the confirmation, you may miss most of your trades. Even the weakness is in the background and you would like to short, or strength in the background you would like to buy, still wait for the confirmation. Wait for your boss to arrive, as Tom was always telling to us. Don't jump, don't rush to the trade. And even now you can see the price is rising up again, but there is no signal to get into the trade. Not yet, right? Don't rush to the trades. Try to understand what market tells you before going to the position. Don't trade if you don't understand what you are doing. Don't bargain or don't play the roulette in trading. You will miss. Just do that only when you understand what is happening in the market at the moment.
Question.
Back to you, then.
Question for you, Gregory. Mike's asking, do you think there is a place for market profile to be used with VSA?
Mike, there is definite place for the market profile, and we are using that very widely in VSA. And if we are looking to VSA, there are two ways to use that. And I know many people who are using both ways for that. The one is to use VSA as a confirmation of your trading entries, trading strategy. So you might have something which is your personal, and VSA might be used just as a confirmation for that. Or you can use VSA on its own and trade based on just the VSA principles. For example, in Poland, our friend Rafał Lenitsky, who is using waves and VSA to confirm his trades. I'm trading pure VSA for many years already. And also quite a lot of our customers are Gavin Trades, pure VSA, Philip Tristan Trades, pure VSA, who is, by the way, using Market Profile as well. I'm using Market Profile as well sometimes, not always. If I'm trading stocks, I'm using Market Profile, not for futures or for Forex, because futures and Forex I'm trading mostly in a scalp mode. But for the stocks, yes, I'm using Market Profile as well. Back to you again.
Okay, good, everyone. Let's take any final questions. Again, I'll just repeat, if you've got questions on the investment opportunity for Gibraltar, Trade Guider Gibraltar Limited, just email me, gavinh@tradeguider.com. So it's GAVINH at TradeGuider, TradeGuider.com. And I will send you the investment deck. And it's got all the details in there. Good. So let's wrap it up. We've got 3 more minutes to go. We can see that the market came down to the support here, down to its line, and it's just bounced off it at this moment in time. But I'm not totally surprised, because tomorrow we've got, and be aware of this, everyone, a very big announcement from the FOMC tomorrow. So we don't know what it's going to be, but they're predicting a rate cut of 0.25 to 0.50%. If that does happen, it will really move the markets. So there'll be some massive opportunities for trading on Thursday. So look out for that. All right, everyone. I don't think there's any more questions from what I can see. Thanks to Gregory for joining me today. And Gregory, I'll see you Thursday. Look forward to that. And great. Okay. And any more questions at all, you've got my email address. Just drop me an email. Be very happy to assist you. From all of us here at Trade Guider, we thank you for your time. Look out for our investment deck opportunity, which you'll see. And good trading and constant profits. God bless and take care. Bye-bye.